I'm just here so I won't get fined.
Pete Dougherty, welcome in to Packers News Live. Had to start with that clip of Aaron Rodgers quoting Marshawn Lynch. I knew he was going to say it. I just knew he was locked and loaded and was ready to deliver it. As soon as he smirked, I was like, oh, this is it. Pete, welcome back. I know it's been a sort of a slow offseason. Back out at minicamp today, mandatory minicamp for the Packers. And as we heard Aaron Rodgers kind of start off our show there, he kind of joked, I'm just here so I don't get fined. He also got a nice little bonus for being here this week. But what did you kind of make of having Rodgers back out there today? Not only of how the offense moved, but just about having him back in the building after what was yet another interesting offseason in which he signed an extension.
Yeah, there's always a little bit different vibe to practice when he's there, and he was. And the lineup configuration there was a subtle difference, with when Love during the OTAs has been the quarterback. They've had Nyman at left tackle and Cole Van Lanen at right tackle. But with Rodgers here, they flip-flopped them because chances are somebody else is going to be the left tackle and Nyman's going to be in the hunt. And I would kind of guess right now he's the front runner for the right tackle job. And of course, that's all assuming that, David Bakhtiari is ready to go in September.
And of course, that is the biggest question along that offensive line. David Bakhtiari was there again today, but he did not participate. He was just in street clothes. But we did see a few other new guys participate. And as we kind of see here, Rodgers getting some work in with younger guys. He said afterwards he didn't want to make any first impressions with these guys. Can you tell I was feeling the slow-mo footage today and having fun testing it out? He said, he didn't want to get too far ahead of himself with some of these rookies, but it was good to get back out there, get the cadence with him. We see him there connecting with Amari Rodgers, and then here, of course, with his old buddy Randall Cobb, that it was good to get the cadence. It was good to get the timing down, but that he's not worried about when he's not here because Randall Cobb can let them know what he needs done. Sammy Watkins, of course, was a big one out there today. It's the first time we've seen him in a Packers uniform. I don't even think he catches anything here, but just kind of good to see him move, good to see him move around. With these receivers, and especially having Sammy Watkins out there today, did anything sort of stand out to you that maybe wasn't as prevalent during OTAs? And, of course, everybody looks better when they're catching the ball from Aaron Rodgers, which we commented on while watching.
Yeah, not really as far as anything jumping out, although Watkins did have a really nice one-handed catch on a pass from Love that was a little behind him. Mm-hmm. And I'm pretty sure Alexander was in coverage on that play one-on-one. So that play kind of jumped out a little bit. But, otherwise it's still minicamp. A lot of the drills, as we were talking, you and I were talking during practice, a decent amount of the team drills were at like 3/4 speed. And Rodgers really didn't take that many reps. And they did 2 minutes at the end of practice. They did, 3 of them, and he didn't do any of them. So it's not like he got a ton of work today, at least in the team stuff.
No, the most important thing was just, I guess, him being there. And we're going to get more into Rodgers here in just a minute. But first, want to hop onto this question from Mas Milano because it's a good one about the defense. He said, I heard Douglas was the nickel today. How did he look like? I think he can do everything on the field. Yes, Douglas was. Jair was outside. I'm going to be honest, Pete. My eyes were sort of drawn to Jair, especially seeing him go up against guys like Christian Watson. It was the first time they've really been pushed. Did Douglas and the nickel catch your eye, or did that just seem to flow smoother with Jair back on the outside opposite Eric Stokes?
Yeah, and like I said, they're just not doing enough to say, oh, he looked good there, he didn't look good there. That's just not really on the radar in this offseason stuff. But it did jump out that he was doing all the nickel stuff when they had their 3 starters on the field. He was always the slot guy. Now, we don't know if they're doing installs where they were doing specific packages, and maybe there's other packages where he won't be. My guess is, and always has been, since they re-signed him, when you add up the snaps at the end of the year, my guess is he'll have the most at nickel, but that there'll be games and there'll be game plans or certain packages where Alexander will play in there. And, maybe even Savage a little bit. I don't know about Stokes. Joe Barry kept bringing up Stokes when he was talking about it in his press conference, but I don't know if he was just doing that to throw off future opponents. I can't remember ever seeing Stokes take a snap in the slot. So, but I do think if I had to guess and bet, I'd bet Alexander will play there some, and there might be some games where he plays there a fair amount. But at the end of the season, Douglas will have the most nickel snaps.
Yeah. Before we jump into Rodgers again, another question back on the offensive side of the ball. Gary asked, what's up with Lazard? Lazard, by our count, was the only normal roster player that was not there today. And Matt LaFleur made the comment in his press conference, everyone who's on the roster is here. Alan Lazard is technically not on the roster right now because his tender has not been signed. Pete, is this a concern at this point in the offseason? Should that be taken care of? Aaron Rodgers, in his post-practice media availability, called Lazard a wide receiver one or someone with a very good chance to become that here.
Well, he probably will be their number one. I mean, he's not a legit number one league-wide. I mean, there's not even 32 legit number ones. There might only be 10 or 15. I'd have to go through all the rosters, but he's doing what he needs to do. He's hoping to use the little bit of leverage that he's got, because the Packers are thin at receiver. He's looking to get a longer term contract. Now he's playing on that restricted free agent tender. I find it, especially with the money the Packers have already spent doing all the cap manipulation, I find it hard to believe they're going to dole out a big contract to him at this point. I don't blame him for not showing up. He doesn't want to come in and get hurt. He's using all the leverage he has. Like you said, he hasn't signed the tender, so it's not like he's skipping minicamp and going to get fined for it. He doesn't have a contract right now. So I'm sure what he's doing is he's just going to wait it out. He's not going to he probably won't get a long-term contract, and then he'll show up when training camp starts, and he'll be highly motivated to have a big season, so that he'll maximize his value on the free agent market next March.
I'm glad you mentioned working within the salary cap, because Rodgers was asked about the deal and the extension that he signed today. And he said, well, it was good to help with the salary cap, really. And he also clarified a couple of things about how he views the years that are left on this deal. Let's actually hear what Rodgers had to say there.
I think first of all, we needed to lower the cap number significantly in order to sign some other players. So that was obviously important. I understand how the deal is portrayed. To me, it feels like a 1 year plus a 2 plus a 1. So there'll be decisions after this year for sure.
I think you'll finish your career here?
Yes, definitely.
Yes, definitely. No hesitation whatsoever. Pete, is that kind of how you viewed these years as well that were on this contract, a 1 plus a 2 plus a 1 with a decision to be made after the 2022 season?
Yeah, I'm not sure what 1 plus 2 plus 1 means, because he has 3 years guaranteed, where
Right.
If he just shows up and plays, if he shows up for the start of training camp and stays on the team, he gets paid. So that's $150 million over the first 3 years, including this season. So I guess it's this year and then the 2 guaranteed years, the next 2 years, then it's not guaranteed after that. So I never take it face value, even if it's as well intended as could be, that a guy's going to finish his career anywhere, no matter which side says it, because you just don't know what's going to happen down the road. I'd be surprised if he retired after this year, because he's going to make $59 million guaranteed next year. So that's a lot of money to walk away from. So I'd be surprised if he did.
And he did say, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, he did say, I just don't want to be a bum standing back there. If I'm going to just kind of stand back there and not be able to do anything, then it's time to walk away. But he said, it's harder to do that when the talent is still there and you're still capable of playing. It's hard to walk away from the game. And so he's still clearly, back-to-back MVPs at the top of his game.
Yeah, he's playing good football. He's still got, he's not as mobile as he was, but he's still got, pretty good mobility. His arm talent's great. These guys keep getting smarter the more snaps they take. So I don't doubt that he's got at least 3 really good years left in him. Whether he'll play 3 more, like I said, that guaranteed money would be hard to walk away from. So it's going to be a topic I'm going to write about him. A column that'll run this week, and I'm still kind of thinking it through. But I find it hard to believe he'll retire after this year. Maybe if they win the Super Bowl, maybe he would. But $59 million, I mean, how many people could just walk away from that?
I'll take it for him. I'll go out there and get hit. Not a big deal. Mike asked, why didn't the Packers select a safety or a tight end? I know this is getting off Rodgers a little bit, but this is a good question specifically about the tight end, because I know when the draft happened, we were all concerned, I guess is the right word, that they did not select a tight end high. But Pete, Matt LaFleur, today Aaron Rodgers, several others have raved about Tyler Davis and Josiah DeGuara. I know that we haven't got to really see real football yet this offseason, but given how young those guys were and what they were able to do and just sort of a crash course after Bobby Tunyon got hurt, do you think that the Packers are satisfied with that tight end unit, how it sits right now, even with Tunyon still rehabbing?
Well, it's tough to see how they'd add anybody worth adding. Now, it should be said they signed, last year at this time, they got Campbell. It was right around now. I think it was like June 8th or 9th when they signed Campbell. So, never say never.
May 7th.
But, they're going to go with what they got. I think I was surprised they didn't take a tight end. You can't get everything in a draft. Even if you have a lot of picks, you can't pick every position. And with the later round picks, those are really a shot in the dark anyway. But I thought it was a possibility, or I wondered, if they were going to end up with 2 pass catchers in the first 4 picks, which they didn't because of the trade up for Watson. But if they did, I could have seen them taking a receiver and then a tight end, for instance. But they didn't, so they're gonna go with what they have. And it does seem like they like Tyler Davis. He's been getting a ton of reps. He had more than his share of reps with Rodgers today. So
Right.
I wonder if they see him a little bit like the way they developed Robert Tunyon. We'll see, but they must see something they like there, and the guy does look like a pretty decent athlete. So maybe they think that he's going to be more productive than anyone outside looking in would have thought.
Mike also asked, did the Packers do enough in the offseason to address the wide receiver situation? I know we're not going to spend a ton of time on this because our colleague Ryan Wood, I believe, is writing on it. So we'll have him on this week to talk about it too. But Pete, just quick takeaway. Aaron Rodgers spent a lot of time today talking about Davante Adams and how he tried to bring him back. Essentially, do you feel like that was the Packers, was that their Hail Mary to try to bring Davante Adams back? And once it didn't happen, it was kind of like, okay, well, let's just go with what we've got.
I kind of got the feeling.
You were going to ask him, were you shocked or surprised?
Yeah, I got the feeling as all that stuff was going down that they wanted Adams back and they were willing to pay a lot for him. But I got the feeling that if he didn't want to come back and they ended up trading him, that they were okay with that too. And I thought they got a pretty good haul for him. People keep saying they didn't get what the Chiefs got for Tyreek Hill. And if you added up the numbers, they really didn't come out that much worse than the Chiefs. But Tyreek Hill is only, I think, is it 26? Right, and Davante Adams is 29 or 30. That's a huge difference in NFL years. You're talking 3 years in the heart of your career. And once those guys get to 30, 31, decline can start kicking in. So that's a huge difference. And that's why the Chiefs got a little more for Hill. I really thought that they'd come out with 2 pass catchers in those first 4 picks, those 2 first rounders and 2 second rounders. So I was a little surprised they packaged those 2 second rounders up to pick Watson, because that's putting a lot of eggs in one basket where you pick a couple of them. You're kind of playing the odds a little more. At least maybe one of the 2 will end up helping you right away and become a good player. But yeah, they could sign somebody still. I mean, the Jair Alexander contract cleared some cap space, so they could sign somebody for a few $1 million, a veteran out there. I mean, I know We all know Julio Jones is out there. Would he play for $3 million? I don't know. Do you really even want to spend $3 million on a guy who appears to be as talented as he was? He's an older guy now, and he appears to be an injury waiting to happen. So, that's one of the questions they'd have to ask themselves on that, if he'd even be willing to sign for that low amount of money for a guy who's used to making quite a bit more than that.
If they do sign someone new, it's important to remember they have 2 more days this week with Rodgers and then nothing until training camp, because he did clarify today that after Thursday, he's back out of here until training camp. But he did say something that I wanted us to listen to about when he is here, wanting to make sure he's completely focused.
Yeah, I mean, in March, when I made the decision, that's 100% in. But it doesn't mean you don't think about the other side. This is my 18th season. Of course, you think about the next chapter and what's next in your life all the time. Doesn't mean you're not fully invested. When I said I'm back, I'm 100% invested. And Matt and I keep in touch all the time, and Tom and the young quarterbacks. And, when I'm here, I'm all in. And those guys know that. They know what to expect from me, the type of play, the type of leadership, and that's what they're going to get.
That, of course, in reference to the comment that he made last week during the match that he does consider retirement. I mean, it's hard not to. Like he said, he's going into his 18th year. It's the conversation that's going to come up. It's a topic that you're going to think of. Pete, you've been covering Aaron Rodgers for a long time. Did he look a step slow to you out there today, or did he look like same old 4-time MVP?
I mean, he looked the same. There wasn't a lot of they're not tackling him, so doesn't have to run away from guys trying to hit him, and he throws the ball away more now instead of trying to escape. But I'm thinking back to Favre. He started broaching the retirement subject in the relatively early in the early 2000s, I think. Right. I don't know, 02, somewhere in there. And he ended up not retiring until what, 2010?
Yeah.
So, I'm sure it's something that Rodgers thinks about, but will he actually pull the trigger? That's the big question. And I don't know. I still think he's more likely than not to play 2 or 3 more years. But like I said, you never know what'll happen with these things. And it's these players and personnel and all that. It's always fluid in the NFL, no matter how long somebody's contract is, no matter what their pay is, anything, it's always fluid.
Right.
One thing I want to say real quick, just our friend Aaron Nagler. I don't know if you know Aaron.
Oh, yes. Thank you for reminding me of that one.
He posted on there because he's sticking it to me, because I did tell him a few at the draft, actually, that because I did that list of the Packers' top 100 players, and I had Starr at 11th. I think Aaron thinks he should be number 1. I think he thinks that. And I had him at 11, and I told him that if I had to do it over again, I would have moved him to 9 ahead of Reggie White and Forrest Gregg. But I'd still, as of right now, unless I come across new information, I'd still probably keep him at 9. But yes, I did air Aaron, and he would be at number 9 if I were doing the list today. I know that doesn't make you a lot happier, but maybe a little bit.
If you're reading the list, just in your mind, shift Bart Starr to 9 per Pete Dougherty. And anyways, like I said, we've got 2 more weeks. Woo, 2 more days. It's been a long day. 2 more days of mandatory minicamp here in Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers at the helm. We will be out there to cover it for you all. Pete, you have a piece coming out later this week. Is that right?
Yeah, we're not sure what day it's going to run yet, but it'll run sometime this week. And like I said, it'll be about Aaron Rodgers and, some of the things he talked about today with Devontae Adams, with how long he's going to keep playing. A couple of those things, just kind of my thoughts, what I gleaned, and kind of what I predicted. And what we've talked about today is sort of a foreshadowing of what that'll be about.
So make sure to be on the lookout for that. Pete, thank you for your time as always, guys. We will see you again tomorrow.